You see, like in these cases, they do once, they don't come anymore. You see, okay, I tell you one sutta. There's one sutta where a Brahmin came to see the Buddha. And this Brahmin told the Buddha, he said, Lord, we Brahmins have a custom. When our relative passes away, we offer food. We offer food for them and we burn all the food. Will they get it? He asked the Buddha. The Buddha said whether they can get it or not depends on their rebirth. If they are reborn in heaven, they won't need it, isn't it? If they are reborn as human beings, they won't get it. If they are reborn as animals, they won't get it. If they are reborn in hell also, they won't get it. Only if they are born as ghosts, they can get. Then this man asked the Buddha, he said, what if my relative is not reborn as a ghost? Then the Buddha said, if this relative of yours is not reborn as a ghost, most likely you have other relatives in the ghost realm and they will get it. Then the Buddha said, even in the extreme case where you don't have any relative in the ghost realm, because you do this charity, you get the merit. So the Buddha did not explain why only ghosts can get. But I believe because only ghosts come back. If your relative is reborn as a dog, he might be fighting there with another dog. How to know you're doing? That's enough. Even like today, you are in this Buddhist society. Now you make a cup of coffee and you offer to your mother at home. Can your mother know that you're offering this cup of coffee? She doesn't know. How can she get to drink? She must know that you offer it to her and she must accept. Then only you can drink. Yeah? She can drink. So only ghosts come back. So you see, the Buddha mentioned that your relative can get it. So if it's not your relative, that ghost is not going to expect you to help, So he's not going to come to you. That ghost comes to you because he's a close relative or a close friend. So he expects you to help. So somebody asked me, how come you transfer merit they can get? That's an interesting question. Because this world actually is like a dream. Everything is mind-made. They have done experiments using hypnotism to put people to sleep. So if a person is asleep, and then in a state of deep sleep, then the doctor tells that person, I'm going to take a piece of metal to touch your hand. And this metal, I'm going to burn it until it's red hot. I'm going to touch your hand. And then he takes a pencil and he touches this person's hand. But the hand gets burned, because the mind, the power of the mind. He believes that it's a red hot metal touching his hand. You touch him with pencil also it gets burned. It's not surprising because in your dream, I'm sure many of you have experienced in your dream. Suppose in your dream somebody punches you in the face. During the dream actually you feel the pain, isn't it? But nobody punched you and yet in the dream you actually felt a punch. Or stab you or anything like that. So the mind, the power of the mind. If you want to send merit, you must have merit. You cannot say, you cannot go to the shop without any money and say, I want to buy something. So you must create that merit. Either you make offering to monks or anything and you transfer, or like that Brahmin, if you have no chance to make offerings to monk, then you burn a piece of cloth or you burn food and then you pray and offer it. But you must mentally tell them because they are psychic, they can read your mind. The Buddha's teachings, offering meat or eating meat is alright, provided there are 3 conditions. You don't see, you don't hear, and you don't suspect. that the being was purposely killed for you. So if you want to offer meat, for example, you go to the market, you buy the dead fish. You're not causing the death of the fish. You buy a dead fish and you offer, it's all right. Or this meat that's already slaughtered. Now some people say that if you eat meat, that creates the demand. Okay, that has economics, nothing to do with Buddhism. Why? Because if you use that argument, then you cannot sit in a car. You cannot own a car. You cannot even sit in a bus. Why? Because every day in this world, 2,000 human beings are killed on the road every day by vehicles. And not to mention, innumerable animals are killed on the road every day by vehicles. So if you use a vehicle, you are encouraging the motor industry, more cars to be made. And more cars are made, more people will be killed. So are you guilty of killing human beings if you drive a car? That's the same argument, right? Then there's another simile I like to give you. Many years ago when I was working in government service, I was sent to Intan for training in the government training center. And I met a prison officer from Taiping prison. And at that time, I'm not sure now, at that time, Taiping prison, they hang people, death sentence. So I was talking to him now about hanging people, whether prison officers do it. He said, no, we never do it. I asked him, who does it? He said, we pay somebody from outside to do it. And he says it's a very simple job. On the day when this person is due to be hanged, so this person who is recruited to do the job, he follows the prison officer to that cell. Then the prison officer will open the cell door and bring out that person. This person, he knows he's going to be hanged. He's already half dead. So they bring him out and they bring him to a place where he has to stand. And this place where he has to stand, actually there's a trap door, where he's standing. So that person who is recruited to hang him will tie his hands and then blindfold him and then put the noose around his neck, tighten the noose, and then go to one corner and pull a lever. The trap door will open. This man falls a few feet, maybe 3 or 4 feet. That's enough to jerk the neck and break the neck, the spinal bone.
Automatic process. Automatic process. Cervical bones.
Yeah. I don't know about that. I haven't done it. So he hangs there for some time before he dies. Now this man who did the killing, the execution, he goes back that night, he cannot sleep, Second night also he cannot sleep. Third night also he cannot sleep. If you cannot sleep for 3 nights, very susah, So he has to drink himself drunk and fall asleep. Then next time you invite him to come and do this job. This job is maybe half an hour job. He gets paid 100 ringgit. You ask him to come and do again, he'll never want to do again. But this prison officer told me, there is one man who has done it for more than 10 years. And this prison officer told me that if you look at this man's face, you dare not look at him a second time. You see, for most of us, even to kill a chicken or so, we are scared. To kill a human being, you have to make your heart very hard to kill somebody. And to do it a second time, you have to make your heart stronger still to kill the second. So he keeps doing this, so it becomes very hard inside. That's affected his face and change. Now I bring you this case which concerns you. Suppose now there is a serial rapist and a killer on the loose in Kuching, and goes about raping women and killing, and even men also he kills, and he can strike at any moment, and he has killed many people. Okay, so what is the police going to do? Going to look for him, isn't it? So they spend some time investigating, looking for clues, everything. One day finally he's caught. Okay, so then he's put into prison. After that there's a long proceedings in the court, criminal proceedings, and finally the judge says to be hanged until death. Okay, so now in the same way, this person goes to the prison and then one day he's hanged. Okay, so who has the biggest karmic offense for the death of this man? Is it the man who pulls the lever and hangs him? Or is it the judge? Or is it the policeman? All these have a share, isn't it, in the killing of that person? You'll be surprised, you also have a share. Why? That man has to die because of you, because of the protection of your life, that the police have to catch that man and kill him before he kills you. That's enough. Yeah? Okay? So are you guilty? If not for you, that man don't have to die, That's enough. So if you analyze the case, you may come to the conclusion that the biggest karmic offense is done by the man who pulls the lever, because ultimately he is the man who kills the hangman. He is the man who kills that killer. Okay. So second heaviest karmic offense is the judge, because the judge passed sentence, yeah. Even though he may be doing his job. Of course, one day he might say, I'm only doing my job only just to cari makan for my family. In the same way that the person who hanged that man, he also says, next day when he goes to see King Yama in the hell, he will argue his case also. He said, I only for 100 ringgit cari makan for my wife and my children. That's why I do this job. Will King Yama excuse him? You don't have to do this job, You can go and do some other job. Why must you do this job? And then if he says, it's not I who killed him, it's the judge, the judge passed sentence, King Yama will say, the judge only opened his mouth. You are the fool who pulled the lever, isn't it? So the second heaviest karmic offense is the judge, because he passed the sentence. How about the policeman? Policeman had no intention to kill him. Policeman only catch him because he has to do his duty, isn't it? So policeman should not have any karmic offense. How about you? Because of you, finally, he has to die. You cannot have any offense. You didn't even know that you was caught and all that. So in the same way, when an animal is killed, the person who has the biggest karmic offense is the person who slaughters the pig or slaughters the chicken. He has the biggest karmic offense. The second heaviest karmic offense is the person who rears that animal. Some people rear chickens, rear pig and all that, and they sell to the slaughterhouse to be slaughtered. That's why the Buddha said, rearing animals for slaughter is one of the businesses, trades that a lay person should not do. But you makan that meat, you have no offense. Even though, because people want to eat meat, that the animal was slaughtered. Just in the case, in the same case of that person is hanged, basically to protect you, but you have no coming offense. In the Vinaya, the Buddha mentioned that before he was enlightened, he was very scrupulous, that he would take a lot of care not to kill any being, even to the extent not to step on a puddle of water in case there were any beings inside. But in the Vinaya books, after he was enlightened, the Buddha said that if you cannot see, if it's so small like bacteria, you cannot see, it's alright, doesn't matter. Sometimes we have to use our wisdom. In the Vinaya books, it is mentioned that sometimes monks who live in the forest, when they come out of the forest to go to the town to beg for their food, sometimes they come across the carcass of a deer which was killed by a tiger, and the tiger had eaten half of the meat. Usually these tigers, when they eat a deer, it's too big to finish. They will eat as much as they can, and after that they have to wait for a few days for the food to digest before they can eat some more. So they will hang around that area so that in case to protect that deer from being eaten by other animals. But he wants to lay a claim on that deer. But sometimes these monks pass by and they see the deer half eaten and it's good meat, freshly killed. So they take that deer meat and they bring it back to the monastery to be cooked for the monks. So some monks started thinking, this is not right, because the tiger, having killed that deer, the tiger wants to eat the rest of the deer. So you take that deer meat from that tiger, it's like stealing from that tiger. So they complained to the Buddha. And what did the Buddha say? They say it's alright. It's alright to take from animals. What that indicates is that human life is more important than animal life. Human life is more important. That's why, like in the monk's precepts, if a monk kills a human being, he's automatically no more a monk. He has to be disrobed, and he can never ordain as a monk again in this lifetime. But if a monk kills a bird, it's a small offense. Or if a monk kills a dog, it's considered a relatively small offense that he has to confess to another monk. And then that matter is closed. So there's a difference between killing a human being and lesser beings. So to save a human life, I think bacteria is a very minor thing. For example, if you have worms and all that, I think even worms also you take whatever medicine is necessary to take care of yourself. That is using your wisdom. Sometimes, this killing process, in fact, all the precepts, you cannot observe 100% one. It's impossible to observe 100%. Suppose now your house has been attacked by white ants. Are you not going to get somebody to come and spray and kill the white ants? Otherwise, your house is going to collapse. Yeah. Or if, for example, there is dengue fever, so you find some mosquito, larva in your garden in a bottle. It might be dengue, right? You might have to kill it rather than to take the risk of the dengue mosquito biting your son or your daughter. What is disallowed by the Buddha is unnecessary killing. Drinking, actually in the suttas and the Vinaya, we find that the Buddha originally did not set up a precept against drinking. Instead, for lay people, the Buddha set up 7 precepts. 7, not 5. 3 was bodily precepts and 4 verbal. The first precept, not to kill, not to steal. Actually, it's not to steal. It's not to take what is not given to you. Third one, not to commit adultery. These 3 are bodily precepts. And then 4 verbal, not to lie, not to carry tales to cause people to quarrel, not to speak coarse or vulgar language, and not to idle gossip. So originally there were 7 precepts that lay people had to observe. Then one day the Buddha brought his disciples to a certain place, and I think the Buddha knew that there was a certain hermitage where the external ascetics prayed to a naga. So the Buddha allowed one of his disciples with psychic power to go to that hermitage and stay in the shrine hall of that hermitage with the naga there. So in the middle of the night, the naga tried to attack the monk. He sent out smoke, and the monk sent out smoke also. He sent out fire, the monk also sent out fire. And there was a big battle in the night. Then the next morning, they thought the monk had died. But the monk came out and then showed that the naga was caught inside his bowl. So after that, the monk became famous because of his psychic power. So when he went for an alms round the next morning, the villagers there were very impressed and wanted to make special offerings to him and asked him whether there was anything special that they could give him. But being a practicing monk, he wasn't interested in anything special. But there were a few bad monks following him. And then they followed him and they heard that there's something special they could ask. They asked, but toddy or not? Ara or not? So these people offered drinks. So they drank, and this monk also drank. So this monk, not being used to drinking, by the time he walked out of the city gates, he collapsed, drunk. They had to carry him back to the monastery. So the Buddha called the monks and asked the monks, now our Sagatha is dead drunk. Can he fight with the naga now? I think Sagatha, I think Sagata. I don't think he was an Arahant, because if he was an Arahant, I don't think he would be drunk. Because Arahant has got sati 24 hours a day. So from there onwards, the Buddha set up the precept against liquor. It's also mentioned in the suttas that there was a follower of the Buddha called Sarakani. I think it's mentioned in my book Liberation, Sarakani. This man could have been a monk before, because it is said that he failed the training. Training normally is a monk's training. So he disrobed, and then he took to drinking, even though he was a disciple of the Buddha. And then when he died, the people asked what happened to him, and then the Buddha said, oh, he's a Sotapanna. I mentioned last night that he's a Sotapanna. So the people were upset. So from here you can see, actually even a person drinks also can be a Sotapanna. So the precept is not so much that you cannot drink even a drop. My interpretation, I may not be correct, but I'm always a bit liberal when I tend to want to follow the middle path, not too, that they say the guitar string must not be too tight, guitar string must not be too loose. So some lay people, sometimes you have no choice, you have to entertain customers. Some people are doing sales, have to bring the customer to karaoke and all that. So they have to drink a bit. But if you understand that there is such a precept, at least you will tarik break. You don't go and get drunk, you see. So you drink also, you drink a little and not too much. And then there are some people who enjoy a little bit of wine every night. But they still want to be Buddhist. But they don't get drunk. It's just a little bit of enjoyment. So I think it's all right. But for monks, different. No? For monks in the Vinaya, the Buddha said if there is a smell of liquor, there's a taste of liquor, then it's not allowed. But if you cook a dish for a monk, you put some liquor, usually it's all right. When you cook it, or it evaporates. They are not called Dhamma protectors. They are called Chatu Maharajika, the 4 great heavenly kings. They are the lowest heaven in the sensual heavens. In the sensual heavens, there are 6 levels of heaven. The lowest one is this Chatu Maharajika. They are the 4 kings in this world of Devas. And this world of Devas are the low Devas, like the Nagas. Nagas are snake Devas. Then the Garudas. Garudas are the bird Devas. And then cloud Devas, river Devas, Yakas, mountain Devas, and all these. These are the low Devas. And among these low Devas, actually, there's a lot of killing. There's a lot of killing. Some of them are like Yakas and all that. They kill to eat, just like Nagas. Nagas also kill to eat. And like Garudas also, they eat Nagas also. So they don't really protect the Dhamma.
What is it?
Yeah, Sita Kim Kong is Chatu Maharajika. People like to pray to them because people are afraid. If we get disturbed, it's normally by these low Devas, like mountain Devas, river Devas, earth Devas, tree Devas, and all that. So they come under these 4 Sita Kim Kong, these 4 Chatu Maharajika. So we pray to their king so that we ask their king to protect us from them. That's all. Actually, if you practice Dhamma, we practice to be virtuous.
Yes.
And there's an Indian belief, and I believe it's true, that every precept that you keep, there'll be one Deva guarding you. It's not that they are following you all the time, but when there's any danger, there are unseen beings, what we call Kuching, protecting us. So every precept that we keep, there will be some protection for us. And every virtue, not only precept, every virtue you keep, for example, if you are humble, that itself is one quality that will give you added protection. Then if you are generous, there's another virtue where there will be more protection. Then if you are helpful to others, then there will be more. Then other qualities, if you are meek, you are not fierce, you are very meek, gentle type also. So it's good to practice virtue and good qualities. You see, like there are certain monks who go deep into the forest or go deep into caves to practice alone. And they are at the mercy of all these fierce devas and fierce ghosts. And yet, if they are virtuous enough, their virtue protects them. It's not the tangkai or anything outside. The inside tangkai is the best. And that comes from cultivation of your own self, the heart. Why? Because these beings are psychic. Whatever type of person you are, they can read your mind. So if you are virtuous, for example, a monk is practicing very hard. So this monk who is practicing hard, at the very least, he will take rebirth as a deva. Okay? So these other beings, these unseen beings, they read his mind, they know. if I kill this man, he's going to turn into the bigger deva than me. He will wallop me. I better don't touch him. So sometimes, you read in the newspapers, some people, they catch a big python or they kill the big python. A few days later, this man dies a mysterious death. I remember many years ago, there's one Indian, he killed a big snake and he was found dead, kind of tied up. Why? Because some of these big pythons, they are nagas, The Buddha said some of these heavenly nagas, they come down to our human world to enjoy themselves. So, if you kill them, their karma as a naga has not finished. They will take immediate rebirth as a naga again. Then they come and take revenge on you. Our Buddha, Sakyamuni Buddha, he said that he contemplated his past lives. Not only his past lives, he contemplated the past. And he mentioned he contemplated 91 world cycles. One world cycle is a very, very long time, Extremely long time. Very hard to imagine how long it is. So for him to contemplate 91 world cycles, he must have spent the whole night from 6 p.m. to 6 a.m. 12 hours contemplating. And he said that he saw 6 past Buddhas. 6 past Buddhas. So only 6 past Buddhas actually were mentioned by the Buddha. But later books talk about 24 Buddhas, 28 Buddhas and all that. And out of these 6 Buddhas, our Buddha Sakyamuni, he only met one Buddha. And that was a previous Buddha called Kassapa. And this is mentioned in the Gatikara Sutta. I mentioned last night. He was reborn as a Brahmin. And that he had no faith in the Buddha, but his friend managed to pull him to see the Buddha. And after listening to one discourse, he must have entered the stream. And then because he had attained the first jhana, he must have attained the Sakadagamin, second fruit. And I believe that all Buddhas are Sakadagamin. They come back, they must enter Nibbana. That is why they will naturally go and become a hermit and practice. But after they become a Buddha, 99.99% of them refuse to teach. Refuse to teach. Because even like our Buddha, even though he was such an enlightened person, when he taught also he got a lot of scolding from people. Even Devadatta tried to kill him. So it was mentioned after that he went to the Tusita heavens. And I mentioned last night, that shows, doesn't mean the person gets jhana, he's born in the jhana heavens. Sometimes if he does not indulge the whole day in jhana, he can be reborn in the sensual heavens. Then he comes back as a human being the last time and enter Nibbana. So that is mentioned. It's also mentioned in the Sutta, the Buddha said, human lifespan starts with about 80,000, average lifespan of human beings, 80,000 years old. And then because of bad karma, it reduces until 10 years. Human lifespan can go down to 10 years. At that time, women 5-year-old can bear children. At that time, people will kill each other. And then so much killing that some people will start to think. We remember last time our grandparents used to say that in the past our forefathers had longer lifespan. But at that time they did not kill each other so much. So some of the people with a bit of wisdom, they run to the hills and start a commune where they keep the precepts and they don't kill. And then because of keeping precepts, the age starts to increase again. And then in the future when human lifespan is 80,000 years old again, and then the Maitreya Buddha will come. In Pali it's Metteyya Buddha. Milephut will come at that time.